Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Your boy Patty Stash coming at you on a beautiful Tuesday afternoon down here in sunny South Florida. 87 degrees and mostly cloudy. I don't know why I always give a weather update, but I kind of like doing it. It looks like we're going to get some rain. Today, I'm wearing my Stacy Sport hat, and I'm doing so for a very special reason. You may or may not have noticed, but after about 3 months of its existence, Stacy Sport today broke its all-time high. Okay, but I mean, that's cool and all, right? We're at about 6 cents. 6 cents, the 6 cents. But, okay. Like, it's hard for me to explain what I want to explain. Like, I have a hard time portraying it into words because there's so many different little things that I'm thinking about, and just a simple fact that the market right now, I believe, is in a position to make a move like we haven't seen in 4 years, okay? So, the token itself is extremely important, but the market conditions coupled with a token that's quality is like a monster that compounds itself, okay? Now, here's the example. I'm going to use an analogy of what I believe can happen to a token like Sport during these particular market conditions, right? So, let's just say you have a basketball, and if you drop a basketball, it bounces, right? So it's like if you hold it here and you drop it, it'll bounce and then come like down here. But then you think to yourself, you're like, how can I make this like bigger and better? And then you're like, oh, well, I could, how do I get the ball to go higher is the question. And you're like, well, I could slam it. That works. But it's like there needs to be some sort of outside force that helps boost it up. So think about like you're on a trampoline. Here it is. This is the example. Sorry, I'm a little off topic. But you're jumping on a trampoline, and you can only go so high. But there's an outside factor that comes in that allows you to go much higher. And what is that? There's 3 other people on the trampoline that jump at the same time you do. So when you jump, the trampoline goes down, but when you have the 3 other people, it goes down a lot lower, and then it shoots up way higher. Let's just say the current scenario with the current market conditions are just like that. Where normally a token, let's just say it was the last year, 2 years ago, doesn't matter. The market conditions were not what they are now. We're on a tipping point where Ethereum could go to $10,000 in the next couple months. I think it will. So the point I'm trying to make is, if you position yourself properly in a quality token that performs well while the market itself performs well, you get that bounce like you do on a trampoline with 3 other people jumping, springboarding you higher. That's what I think is going to happen with Sport right here, right now. It's at 6 cents. Almost nobody knows about it. The market cap is only $3.5 million, but it's a concept that, in my opinion, will go viral because of all the current factors that are going on. One being the most important, the market itself is starting to pump. Number 2, the volume today is over $100,000. It broke its all-time high. And most important, football. Football season is coming. When football season comes around, I love betting on football, putting my bets down, my parlays. I do it every Sunday morning. It's the highlight to my Sunday, almost more so than watching football itself. So all I'm trying to say is, think of the scenario here. Market conditions are ripe. Nobody currently knows about the token that's trading at a $3.5 million market cap, but everything about what this token does just oozes it going viral. And what I'm saying is, if it does get picked up by a big name, let's just say a podcast, some sports podcast begins talking about it, If it moved from 3 cents to 6 cents on relatively low volume while almost nobody's paying attention, what do you think happens when all of a sudden $500,000 in buying comes in at once with almost nobody selling because people are just discovering the token at its inception, so to speak? The price starts to move, it begins making its first ever breakout, and then all of a sudden it starts to blow up and people are like, oh my God, what is this? I want to get in. I want to buy as much as I can. So if everyone starts to think that mentality while it's at its current 6 cents, how does it go lower unless the market completely implodes or something goes completely wrong? I like to try to use like numbers with stuff. And the number that I'm thinking about is from this point, let's just say for the next 4 months, if Ethereum goes higher for 4 straight months, everything else on the Ethereum chain goes higher with it. So if Ethereum goes from 3,000 to 6,000, the value of Stacy goes from 6 cents to 12 cents. So now keep that in mind. Let's just hypothetically say Stacy doesn't do anything, it doesn't move for a little bit, but Ethereum goes from the current 3,000 to 9,000. So that would be a 200% increase, which would mean Stacy at 6 cents now would be valued at 18 cents then, even though not a single dollar in buying came into the token. Now, let's just say hypothetically, there's a bunch of buying with Stacy because everybody starts getting interested and the price of Stacy goes from 6 cents to 15 cents. But when it hits 15 cents, all of a sudden Ethereum goes from 3,000 to 6,000. And that means that Stacy goes from 15 cents to 30 cents, which all of a sudden, it's a big fucking change. You're now at 30 cents. But what happens if another double happens and it goes from 30 cents to 60 cents? And while that's happening, Ethereum goes from 3,000 or 6,000 to 9,000. So you just went from 30 cents to 60 cents. And then because Ethereum doubled, you went from 60 cents to $1.20. So we were literally just at 6 cents. And now we're talking $1.20 and not all that much happened. This is crypto. This is how it happens. The most insane growth I've ever seen came from the assets that were trading on Ethereum last market cycle appreciating. Example, like an NFT. You buy an NFT for 1 Ethereum. At the time, Ethereum was $100. Fast forward, Ethereum goes from $100 to $4,000. So you just made 40x on your money. But that asset that you paid 1 Ethereum for when Ethereum was at $100 is now worth 40 times more because you spent $100 for it, you paid 1 Ethereum, but Ethereum went up by 40x. So that $100 is now $4,000. But because that chain, Ethereum, went up, everything on the chain grew in value too. So that NFT that you paid 1 Ethereum for, you resell for 10. How much money did you make? You paid 100, you sold it for 40,000. What? How do I get 40,000? Well, you pay $100 when Ethereum is $100, which is 1 ETH. That 1 ETH goes from the value of $100 to $4,000. So that 1 ETH is still 1 ETH, except that 1 ETH is no longer 100. That 1 ETH is 4,000 because the price of Ethereum is 4,000. However, you bought that asset for 1 Ethereum, and then the person that you sold it to paid 10. So you sold it for 10 times more, but you didn't make 10 times more money. You made 40 times more money because you made 10x. Actually, I'm sorry, it's 400x. You made 400x more. How did you do it? You got 40x from Ethereum going up 40x, and then you got 10x from the asset that you paid 1 ETH and sold for 10. 40 times 10 is 400. If you could understand that, you'll understand why I've been so bullish on Ethereum and why I've been so patient with Ethereum-based tokens. Because what I expect to have happen is all the assets on the Ethereum chain will grow, but because Ethereum itself grows, it compounds the value of all those chains on Ethereum growing as well. Stacy Sport, I just made a little prediction saying if this happened and then that doubled and then Ethereum went to 9,000, you're looking at $1.20. Is that like Is that something that I don't believe can happen? Well, let's just take an example. If Stacy did go from 6 cents to $1.20, that's a 20x. Is 20x a lot in crypto? No, 20x is not shit in crypto. Feels like a lot because the market conditions have been slow, but wait till things start to ramp up. And like I say, if Ethereum goes to 6,000, all the people that have been bed mathing Ethereum for the years start becoming positive. Well, I don't understand how this happens in crypto. Like, you could have an asset that's super cheap, but like nobody wants it. Then all of a sudden it goes up a lot and you're thinking, oh, now the risk is higher. But that's when people start to care. That's just how crypto works. That's why I always say emotions, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, 10-minute video, Stacy Sport. The symbol is sport, easy to remember, kind of a big deal too. Trades on Base Chain. It was 6 cents when I started this video. Where is it now? I don't know. But I will say it doesn't take much dollar volume to move the token right now. So that kind of gives me an idea. There's going to be a bit of upward movement here soon. And I think that liquidity will start to pick up. And then that'll, have it trading not quite as crazy. I think that Stacy could go to 25 cents by this time next week. Yeah, I do think it could go a lot higher than that as well. It's the concept of having something that appeals to everybody and everybody wants it. And that's why I say I think it can go viral. Again, Stacy Sport, AI agent technology that's already been proven to work via its partner, Eagle AI. That same technology came from Eagle AI, which was market analysis, predictive market analysis. But instead of predictive market analysis, they're using the same concept of AI technology, the AI agent, the AI bot. Instead of for market analysis, it's for sports predictions. An app is coming out. Football season's coming. The market's starting to blow up. Like, it's quite literally the perfect storm. The question is, like, how high does it go before the market starts to slow down? Can it hit $1? Like, that's less than 20x. So, yeah, $1 is real possible. $10 is possible. That's 200x, not even a 200x. Like, 200x is a big deal. But think of how many tokens that I've talked about over the years that have done well over 200x. And yeah, it doesn't happen overnight because of all these things that I talk about. It takes time. They go up a little bit, they go sideways. They go up a little bit, they go sideways. They go up a little bit, they go sideways. Each time that happens, the risk increases until rug eventually gets pulled, market starts to die out, and then everything shits the bed and we repeat the cycle. So how high does it go? I don't know, but I'll tell you what, I believe it has all of the characteristics for it to go viral. And if it does, it could be $10 in no time.